I'm Steve Vorderman, and I've been a photographer for about 30 years. Yeah, it started out more trying to understand the mechanical aspects of photography, and then I took a art class in high school with Mr. Johnson, and we kind of got to the artistic part of what photography meant. And then later in high school, I met Mr. Sweeney. Jake Sweeney was the journalism teacher. And I was a little lost. My father had passed away when I was 13, so I was still, as a teenager, processing that loss, I think, looking for different ways, I guess, to express. And Mr. Sweeney, even though I wasn't a journalism student, took me in and knew that I was interested in learning the craft and showed me everything about the camera and how to process film while taking it further to produce prints. And I was hooked from there. Well, I honestly thought photography was only something somebody did as a hobby. I never understood that photography could turn into a vocation and a person could make money doing photography. So I stayed in the family business for a long time, which had nothing to do with photography. Oh, no question. I was unfulfilled to some extent in the work that I was doing, while it was supporting me and in different ways, financially and otherwise. It just wasn't something that I was connecting with. It was work that my father did, my brothers do, but it just didn't seem to fit for me. And all the while I was using photography to kind of fill that soul work that everyone looks for. But I still kind of tried to learn as much as I could about it out of my own interest and passion for it. It was years later that I started studying photography at the art school at the University of St. Francis under Karen Thompson, who was established as a fine art photographer. That led to getting noticed by some people who were in the advertising world. And I was hired for a conceptual assignment, a conceptual photography assignment. And it was then where I saw ultimately my work published, and it was a great feeling. Yeah, I was pretty shy early on, and it really terrified me early on to do portrait work, but I find that portrait work is my favorite thing to do now. I love the interaction that I have doing the portraits, and I like learning about them, telling their story, and eventually putting them at ease and making a good portrait. I don't know if there is an art to it. I think that it was developed for me. I don't think it was inherent necessarily or automatic, but I developed a certain comfort level connecting with people. I'm thinking of it I think, in terms of portrait photography, I really love capturing the essence of a person, capturing them in a natural way and that's sincere and authentic. From a commercial point of view, I love the challenge of matching up to a concept If, for example, a creative director in an advertising agency concepted an idea for the client to ultimately approve, they then go back to me and say, here's the idea that we want to convey. We need to match up the outcome of your photography with the concept. And if I can do that, I'm thrilled. That's sort of the competitive nature in me to meet up to that, match up to that. Ultimately, I just want to see how the camera sees and interpret the world through my camera in a way that is not just the mundane stuff that we experience on a day-to-day basis. We can see beauty throughout our day and throughout our experiences, interacting with people and through environments. So I just am challenged by capturing that and expressing that in a unique way. Well, my family immigrated here from the Netherlands when I was 4 years old. I grew up in Fort Wayne, and it just happened that I was getting hired for work, and in Fort Wayne, as a photographer, you kind of had to do all and be all. While I knew that the epicenter of commercial photography or fashion photography were in places like New York or Chicago or Los Angeles. This is where I was living, and I just was finding work here. Well, I think that if you can find a way to tell a story with photography, you can tell that story for whatever environment or situation you're in, no matter where you are. So the point of it is to tell the story. I have been, I think, completely fulfilled in my work as a photographer. It's been challenging, but it's the work that I'm proud to have done over my adult life, and feel lucky that I had it in my life. I wanted to say that. Because it's a gift. You know, it's a gift that I received to do it. Yeah. So I think I have an obligation to it, and it's just given me joy.